Hey everyone, thanks for turning up. Today we are starting episode 2 of our Let's Build a Framework. And where we got to last time was most of the session where we covered what a micro framework was, what options there are out there for micro frameworks, how do we want ours to work. Then we built our application, looked at CI, handled configuration and settings, looked at how all of that all ties together, and looked at a DI container that we wanted to pull in. Hey, Daryl, thanks for coming. And today we are on stream 2. So, hey, thanks for coming. You have to teach me how to pronounce your name. So, today we're going to look at parsing YAML files and parsing JSON files for our Open API specs. We're going to create a parsing class which will detect the type and automatically parse, so we don't have to do any sort of configuration. Then we're going to create a class which will generate routes from an Open API file. Then we're going to create a console command which is kind of tie all of that together, where we're just going to say, okay, so run this command, parse the Open API spec, generate our routes, and let us get on with it. And then we'll just create a nice little console command which will also list out available routes as well. It's like Arthur. I will try my best to remember that. And hey, Joe. So then we are going to find a router. I've already looked at a few options already. We're going to look at application middleware and then route to middleware and then handling errors. So I've done a little bit of work in the background. We no longer have a container in our application. We don't have support in it anymore either. I've moved that out to a separate repo, and we've moved exceptions to a higher up namespace. So if you go to GitHub, you can go to phpfox/container, and I have moved the container to its own repo just to make it a little bit easier. Also, it allows other people to fix any issues that might occur. It's all running pretty well. I've added tests, added extra tests, and we're still thanking Jess for her amazing base, which we started with. It is now PSR compliant. So if we look at the container, we are implementing array access and container interface. So it's going to allow us to do things like container, open square bracket, give it a class name, or give it a name, a key of what you named your whatever you've added. Where's my headset? It wouldn't connect, so I'm not wearing it today. You're actually listening to me through my microphone on my webcam, which I didn't know I had one. And obviously it's all been commented. I've done static analysis on it. It's got all of its tests. And right down the bottom, we've got the container interface stuff, which is just binding to pre-existing methods we had just to make it compliant. Then all the array access is doing the exact same thing. I had to rename a couple of things just to make sure. Where is it? Remove, we didn't have, so I've added that. And then also has, I believe, or contains. I think I called it contains. There we go, contains. So check if a container contains an item. Just a nice little way to use our container. And that is all in its own repo now. And we've got three repos. We've got an example application, which I started putting together. Nice little sample. And what it's got is it sets everything up. It sets up the CLI, sets up your basic config. And that's mainly it. It's got a help command as well. And what that would do is it will just get all available commands and list them out for you. And that's it. So, where were we? We are wanting to look at parsing YAML files and JSON files. So for JSON, JSON's going to be relatively simple. just JSON decode, it's already an array. But YAML can be a little bit messy. So if I go to php.net and look at YAML parse file, its return type is mixed. So it could be array, it could be false, it could be null, it could be empty, it could be a few different things. I remember there's a parse URL as well. So I might just look at using the YAML component from Symfony because it's fast, it's good, and I believe you can actually write files as well, reading and writing YAML files. So it'll be really useful. So we're going to start with this. Let's just grab it and say, let's get started. Right. If it is a little bit small on the screen, give me a shout and I will make things bigger where need be. So we're going to pull in a YAML component. Again, I'm using PHP Storm again because I'm actually quite enjoying using it again. Didn't think I would do, if I'm completely honest. So we've now got Symfony's YAML. So the first thing, we're going to need some YAML. So if you go to github.com/stoplight.io/public-APIs, there are a load of available OpenAPI specifications added by Phil Sturgeon and a few other people that we can just use and play with and just see how they work. So let's look at Giphy, for example. If you look at Giphy, this is their OpenAPI file. It might be called Swagger currently, but it is OpenAPI compatible. It's got a paths, you can get GIFs. It's got different response codes that you might get. GIF random, search. It's got quite a few in there. Most of them are GET requests from the looks of it. Ideally, I'd look at one with more just a GET request. So let's look at maybe Netlify. I like Netlify. Netlify is awesome. That's how I currently host my website. There we go. We've got a GET request and a POST request. We've got a delete request. It's got more than just GET requests. So this one is probably what we're going to go for. So if we just grab this raw copy here, what we're going to do is we're just going to use it because it's kind of an example that we're just going to follow. So I'll just create a quick file in here. Put this in there. There we go. We have got loads of lines of YAML, which I'm not going to bore you with the details on right now. We'll go through the bits that we actually want to get in a little while. So our first step is going to be, how can we start processing this using the Symfony component? And I am going to zoom in so people can see it a little bit better. So using reading YAML contents and reading YAML files. So I can pass that. I can pass, now I was reading YAML files, pass file, pass to file. And I can also file put contents. That works. So the way we want to use this is we want to get this file and just pull out all of the paths. So our first task is parse a YAML file for our OpenAPI spec. To do this, I think we will have to create a new directory within here. We're going to call this parsers, a new class. I'm going to create a YAML parser. It's not extending anything right now. Let's do some basic cleanup. So we're going to have a parse that will most likely return an array. And then we're just going to return that array here. But to do that, we kind of want to, this needs to implement a contract because we're going to have a JSON parser too. We want to be able to make sure they're consistent. So we'll just have, we're just going to call it parser contract. We'll follow the Laravel convention because that's what I'm most used to. So I'll just create a new namespace here called contracts. Eventually this will get moved over to a support package, which I've started building. And as usual, I like to declare strict types. And all we want is that. So this parser is going to need to accept a file. It's a path to a file or some description. So there's that. So what we can do, we can also start boilerplating our JSON parser as well. And this is going to implement parse contract. Perfect. We got a file. Everything's got a file. Everything's working as expected. So, how do we want this to work? Do we want? We're going to want an application or something, aren't we? So, what have we got in here so far? Now that we moved everything out, got a repository. We've got whether it's been booted or not. Parameters value is always false. No, it gets set to true. Don't be silly. So let's close down our boot method and our load config. In here, what's loading config there? It's not where we want to do any routes. We're going to need some sort of manager style class, aren't we? So first off, we'll start with this one. So let's say we've got the file. Have I actually got a var dumper installed? No, if I've got Ray, I could just use Ray. We use Ray. So in here, we're just going to lay out the file. And put in an example, because I deleted the old one. We'll declare strict types. And we are going to require our vendor autoloader so we can actually start using our classes. We don't need to go back a directory, do we? Autoload. Our autoload, so now we can YAML parser, parse, and the file we want to use is path the file, current directory, open API.yaml. So let's open up Ray and start working with it. So as before, I will just do something different. Stick that one up there. I'll get a terminal. And we'll stick that at the bottom. I just started using a really cool app called Rectangle, and it allows you to do lots of really cool where you want your windows to be shown. So if I go to GitHub, PHP Fox framework, I can run PHP example. So you still need to pull in that class. So we've got our file now. So our next step is to use the YAML component, and let's just parse a file. So we can say YAML parse. That takes input of string. So let's just do that again. Named arguments maybe. Let's test. Put file flags now, and then we're just going to this. That's just giving me the exact same thing back. So converts them into a PHP value. Not quite. It's just giving me a file back. Reading YAML contents pass file. Wait, I'm just passing, aren't I? I'm not passing file. Our name. There we go. We got there in the end. There we go. Swagger, schemes, host. We've got all the cool stuff. We've got 71 routes to play with, which is going to be fun. So we can just pass it and return the because we might want this to be a bit more generic. So what we'll do is we'll say key to return. What's that complain about? Oh, you have to add that in a little while. Come back to the parser contract, and we're going to have a string key to return and a string key to return. So what that's going to allow us to do is we can say, right, okay, so pass this, and we want the key to return to be paths. So what we can do is let's just simplify that one, and we're going to call that variable paths. And then within here, we can just select a paths. So let's clear our window a little bit. And again, that's all about paths. So if we now change paths to be, I don't know, tags, and tags instead. So we'll stick with paths. Probably do a quick check here. So new valid argument exception. We'll say that the message is going to be valid key in YAML file. Kind of descriptive there. So we're just going to throw in an exception, which we can now quickly test here. We're going to say ABCD or ABSC. Cool. Excellent. Exactly what we were hoping for. So we've now got our paths. It means we can start processing paths as well. And next, pass the YAML file. We also want to be able to create a JSON file. So let's see if there's any on that repo, if there's any that are also using JSON as well. Did we go too far? We did, didn't we? So open API up. Like, guys. YAML, Giphy, GitHub, YAML. Most people use YAML nowadays for OpenAPI stuff. Hey, ship engine. Here we go. Completely random one. So let's just grab it. And we will create another new file and we'll call this one OpenAPI.json. So we can test this one too. So there's our YAML parser. We know that works. We can close this down for now. Close down our application. Let's zoom in. So we've got parse contract, key to return. So for this one, we need to do something like JSON equals events file and output. Yes. Let's see if how that comes back. So we're going to switch this over for we have JSON parser. That one, and let's not worry about that right now. Let's just run it again. Giving us a good string. Perfect. So what we can do is wrap this in a JSON decode. This should now give us back a big old object. Right, so JSON decode flags JSON object as array. Just pass that through instead of casting anything. So this is a compiler or something. Ooh, okay, not bad. Flags, optional. Is it going to tell me which one I can use? Which one can I use then? Object as array, pass through one. Give it a go. Back and look at that in a little while. JSON decode that. For now, we'll just cast it to an array and we'll worry about how we're going to do it when we refactor. So now we can do exactly what we did with our YAML parser and just return and do this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to refactor this to be contents. And then the JSON here, we're also going to just refactor that one to be contents as well. So we can also pull this one in. In JSON file, key to return, and then we can just return contents, key to return. Done. So now we should do the exact same thing. JSON parser pass, standard class returned, JSON parser line 23. Right there. Oh, it's giving us an array of objects, isn't it? So, time to go back to php.net, JSON decode, and let's see if we can figure out these tags. Associative null depth, JSON encode, JSON decode. No, that just encode it back as a string. Pass true. Yeah, let's try that. Let's pass true. Oh, it's an array. How did I not know that? I've never had to work with JSON this much. Strings and files. We got it. We got it. So that is now in what we expect. We can now get paths back. So key to return, which is now this. Pay for clear in that. We've now got all of these, which will give us summary description, and we get requests. We've got summary description, requests, which is kind of fun. We can start playing with OpenAPI, which is what we want. So if we just drop that now, so here, JSON parser, let me zoom in on YAML, and here is our interface. So here's our little interface where we're going to pass through a file path and a key that we're going to want to return. We're implementing it within the JSON parser, and we're going to implement, and we've implemented it with the YAML parser also. The YAML one is using the Symfony library, and the JSON one is just using JSON decode and file get contents. Might be a way to neaten this up at some point, but we'll have a look. I mean, don't really want to pull in a package just for the sake of decoding JSON, but I suppose the same could be said for YAML. So let's have a look. YAML parse file. Oh, we'll see if it fails. Let's go to example and switch back to the YAML parser. YAML parser, and obviously we want to use the YAML file. Okay, I don't think I've actually got the YAML parser installed on this machine. I don't think I've got the extension. So now we'll just stick with the Symfony component and refactor it if we think it's adding too much bloat, which I mean it's not huge, so I doubt it's going to do too much. So we can get both JSON and YAML files processed, and we can get the paths back out. That is step 1 and 2. And we need something in between. So we can create a new OpenAPI parser. We haven't implemented anything yet. So the way we want this to work is, again, we're going to have a static function called parse, which is going to take a file and it is going to return an array. And all we want this to do so far is speak to either JSON or YAML. So we can do something like get path info on the file being passed in, and then just we'll quickly dump out that info. We'll take this, so comment that out. now, and we'll say open API parser parse. The file is that one. So let's clear our view and let's see what we're going to get. Got extension base name, dir name, perfect. And now if we swap that for JSON, we can do that. It's the nicest way to detect MIME types. Do we want to? Or should we just rely on the file name for now? We'll rely on the file name for now and worry about it in a bit. So, yeah, sometimes YAML does have a, yeah. I'm wondering, we're going to want to, I'd love to say we could use a PHP 8 match here, but I don't think we can. So instead, we'll do a if info extension JSON, then we will return this file, and the key to return is paths. We'll keep it short and sweet and somewhat dirty to start with. If it's not that, I think match only works if you're doing PHP 8 match. What am I doing? Not even on the browser window there. PHP 8 match. Yeah. Stitch has got a really good example. I think it's really good. Unknown value causes errors. Combining conditions. Setting exceptions. Okay, so I should be able to do something. So I should be able to do something like match info extension. And if that extension is JSON, then allow me to return. That's the question. Oh, I could pass a closure. Well, that might be nicer. Might look nicer as well, actually. Okay, so we can. Nope. I am not in JavaScript again. I keep doing this. Isn't it? No. Will it allow me to return the function directly? You can at least use a function. Return JSON parser parse file, and the key to return is paths. There. Not exactly how I wanted to use it, but do it that way. maybe. Okay, so now I should be able to do YAML or YAML return. So do that. I can do a YAML parser pass. The file is file, and the key to return is pass. That works. I must have done something completely wrong earlier. So we'll just swap that. Swap all of that for the parser. Get that now. Now if we just matches, should swap all of that. Example, open API pass. That quickly. So let's clear the view. Okay, we've got that. Okay, I see what's going on. I see what's going on. Now just say return content is going to be an array. It's a little bit cleaner, not gonna lie. I do kind of like that. What did I do there? That's kind of clean. Or maybe just pass in the parser directly. I'm not sure if it'll let me. Let's see what that does. We're getting it. That way you don't. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I thought you had to. Can I just return that? There's no point creating variables where we don't need them, right? If I just do that and we just that's again, and that is from a JSON file. Now if we just do it from a YAML file and there's no other changes, that works perfectly. And that is us checking off another box. Bang. So now we want to generate routes, which is where we're going to have to do like some file get content magic. I'm pretty sure the Symfony component is very good at writing files. It can be pretty flexible too. File component. Make the touch exists. Error handling. This is probably going to be the easiest option right now. And I like to go the easy path first and refactor to something simpler so I can know it works, test for how it's working with the package, and then just slowly remove stuff. So we've now got that. That's cool. So let's say, for example, we have a directory in here called what we're going to want to do is the parser, instead of just returning that, we want to do something else with it. We want to start zoom out a minute. We could do let's do another one. Public static function paths. This will return an array, which is going to do all of this. So we can say that the paths are paths there. Go through, have a look at one of these paths, for example. Got a get request. So the first key is always going to be, we need to start to map out which ones we want to accept. And then it's going to have an operation ID, sponsors, any tags. So there's only a couple of things that are kind of useful to us right now. So let's we can say for each path as key and path, your layout key, layout path. Would have died early, so we'd have to look through all of them. So first one is accounts/accounts. Then we've got two. We've got get and a post. So what we can do is verbs we want to match are going to be post, but match. Suppose we might want options and we might want head. Not very likely that we'll want trace, but we'll keep it in there for now. So they're our verbs that we're going to want to accept. So for this one, we can do a very quick if we kind of need to go to the path, for each path as well. Oh, nested for eaches. So for each path as verb item. We'll probably refactor this later on. Let's just lay out verb and item itself. Give that to see full picture. So we've got accounts, post, get. So we've got get and post available, all on accounts, which is what we're expecting. Excellent. So we can start to put up our roots. Eventually, I'll probably make some form of collection style class like what you get in Laravel, but right now I'll keep it simple. We will go add a new one. We're going to if not in array, needle or haystack and needle, needle and haystack. So verb static verbs. It's not an array. We'll do it if it is an array. Easier. New screen. Yeah, that's true. I'm hoping I don't have to use very much more, to be honest. I'm hoping this is me getting it. So the method is verb. And we're also getting the path as well. Root to path. There. That means we shouldn't need anything from item. I mean, parameters, we've got one. I don't think we can do much with that right now. Oh, color's red. And I can filter. No, stop tempting me with all of these different cool ray things. All right, so let's just say that is the minimum that we need. And let's just return roots from here. And just clear that and run it again. Method post root get. Oh, darn it. E is what we wanted. Bang. Perfect. We are starting to get there. So I just want to see one more thing on this item. We can get the operation ID. So what we'll do on the item, what we'll do down here is we'll kind of pre-fill for the name. We're not going to use named roots right now, but something like that. So the name for the root is the operation ID or null, just in case I need it for reference. So this should now delete submission, list form submission, enable hook. Nothing in some of those. Come down. This account tag for user. So we're starting to get some resemblance of a link between the two. That nested for each is going to wind me up a little bit, but for now I'm going to live with it, I think. Because yeah, it can't always be perfect. We'll refactor to something a bit nicer. Anything that I don't need, no, not right now. So we've got OpenAPI parser, a parser contract, JSON parser, and a YAML parser. So we're going to want to write it next, aren't we? Parser's getting our paths. How should we? Oh, I can call ray die. I kind of want the app to store the paths. I don't want the parser to handle it. I want to. Yeah, we'll add this as an application method, I think. So we're going to have our application, config, booted, run, all that cool stuff. And down the bottom, I'm just going to add a new one. Have a public function. I don't really want this to return anything right now. what this is going to do is I kind of want options for both, but maybe I'll start with maybe CLI is a good place to start. CLI is probably a much better place to start, isn't it? So let's. I'm just going to open up the example application in a new window. Nope. And we will just grab this. Oh. There, it hasn't ran too far. So there's run. We will just create a new Fox within here, new random file. Just going to call that Fox, got no type, put that in there. Let's go to minicli app source. Console commands for now. So signature Fox. So now we should be able to go. CLI back up and running, nice and easily. Source console commands, and then we're going to add another directory called OpenAPI. We're going to complain about the namespace. We'll see. We'll create a new PHP class in here called default controller, and we are going to extend and controller for minicli. Rename that. Nope, undo that. Name. Factor that quickly. Let's just pull that in. So here's our handle method. Let's just see if we can actually call it using file name. Hey Susanna, thanks for coming. Oh, is that Arthur? Missing file name. No, it did rename it, I think. Use me. So can I just now PHP Fox open API? Yes. Let's go back to minicli. Docs. And we want to just working with output right now. Get printer and display. Display. What we're going to do, instead of saying this get printer, I'm just going to say here's a printer. I'm probably going to want to use a printer a few times. So printer info content starting to process open API files. File, should I say? Because it is one. Hey, we've got it. We're going to process it. So by default, we're going to have a path for it, but I believe we can obtain input. Oh, okay. Arguments, parameters, and flags. Has flag, identifies it's been set. Okay, so we can just do basic flagging, which means we can do something like param equals something or flag. I don't really want params. So we'll just do like a basic if this has param. So we've got the printer. And param we're going to look for is file. We've got the file param, then yeah, minicli. It's kind of fun. Then we're going to want to just like this file equals get param. Get param file. We'll just do a quick so we can do that. Do like a if no this overridden it, then we can just set the default. Oh, this is where we need the app, really, isn't it? Application. Did we get instance, or was that any other container? Ugh. So this is always going to be in the base, so we don't need to do that. Okay, we don't need to do that. So this file to be okay, because we're calling it from somewhere else, and this will work. Roots API.php. Let's see if that does anything. And layout. So let's see. All of this is now going to do for us. Commands open. It's not going to do it. Okay, so how am I going to be able to do this nicely? We might have to do it in minicli. In Fox itself. Okay, so do all that. Just do something like a define this path as library. And let's see if we can base it's got it. It's good. We are good. So let's say we've got roots, and let's say we've got a API file within there. Is that starting? So let's say we go file is from there. So here, this file is the same, no matter how we do it now. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, no, I'm finding minicli really fun, actually. What we're going to extract this to a new method here. File. We're going to pass anything in, which is going to return back anything. We just call that a set file because we actually are setting the file. move all of this into there, which means I can just delete all that. And just make sure it works. I'm not running anything out, so yeah, nothing's died. Cool. So set file. Throw a new valid argument exception, and we're just going to simplify that quickly. The method we want to pass is file does not exist. Please it first. I think eventually we're just going to cool, we got it. Right. Is there a way in minicli to handle exceptions? Doesn't look like it right now. We'll have a look at that another time. So we've got, if a file doesn't exist, we're going to throw an exception. Otherwise, we are going to groups. We're going to say open by parser pass file. This will give us that. So now we can do something like enter info content. Processing. Ooh. File part. There we go. 940. Unhandled match value of type string. Hey Benjamin and James, thanks for coming, people. So something's going wrong with our Open API parser. So if we just go have a look at that, we are getting a complaint somewhere, line 40. We're not matching. So what we do at this point quickly, because we're doing it from another direction, I'm just going to clear some of this out. Name-based name extension. Oh, it's not what we want, is it? Silly me. That isn't what we want to do at all. I've done it completely wrong. Completely. So, so we've got the base path. And we are going to API.yaml it. Assume it's by default that. Base path, get params file. Now let's see what it's going to say. Processing routes. Okay, so total is count routes. Let's stick total in there. So processing 108 routes. Very cool. So we can quickly clear that one out. So we can now, we've done the set file business, passing them, giving back some information, and now we just want to do some writing. So a Symfony component is going to come in handy. So let's just okay, so I've already got it, even easier. So zoom out so we can see where we are. We've got a handle method, we've got a set file, and let's create a new protected function sync groups. That will take an array of roots. Down here, this is where we will do a roots, and the roots we are passing over follows. So we're now just going to pass off to this one, so we can get a printer in there, and we could probably move this down to here. What is Ray? Ray, no, it's more of like it's like die and dump, but you know, you can filter things, and yeah, you don't have to die. It's literally just stick it out into this window and play with it, basically. Just a good way to see debugging information. So now we are going to sync roots. So all we've done now is move, we've got another printer available here. In theory, we could just kind of say printer, and then that is an output handler. We need that. That should still work. Yeah, it's kind of like a log file. It's kind of fun, kind of nice to use. So we've got our roots. So now we want to start using this file system, new file system. Just follow it to the letter, and let's just fix it later if we need to. It's a file system. We don't want to make a directory, sorry. So check if a file exists. Kind of similar, yeah. Okay, so we just do like a, you know, check if roots file exists. File system exists. And we are looking for the path. Did I set it to? Yeah, base path. So that will give us our very, very root directory. And then within there, we want to go into roots and api.php. Is going to be our standard. Now we're just going to lay out this. And let's move on. Flu. Okay, we're still laying something out somewhere. Somewhere there. That. Run it again. Yep, we've got it. Let's return false. Yes. So if it doesn't exist, then oops, file copy touch. I can just touch a file. File system touch big files, and it's going to be exactly the same as that. Good. So now let's have a look at appending to a file. So I can dump file, serves the given content into a file, write to temporary file first and move it to a new file location when it's finished. Okay, that one's cool. Temp name, absolute path, mirror, copies of contents of source directory, make path relative, read link, symlink, remove, rename, chmod, change group, chown, touch, copy, exists, making directories. No, I think the best one is going to be append to file, or we'll look at dump file. We're going to dump file. We'll use dump file. It seems to be the best option. So we have roots in here now as an array. So now what we should be able to do, and I don't think I need something like fly system, because I'm not going to be using various different file systems. I think most of the power from fly system comes from the fact that you can connect to all the external ones. So I've got my local adapter, visibility converter, file system API. Oh no, I can write. Write stream, read a file, delete directory. Maybe it might be file exists, mime type. No, fly system is actually going to be a lot easier for a lot of it. So let's refactor. We're just going to remove this, remove that, and we are going to use this. Started. Let's pull this in because I do quite like Frank, and I actually do like a lot of leak packages. So we need a root path as well. That's fine because I've already got the root path. So files. Here. So here we can. That should already be in. So I could quickly do that. Local file system adapter, and that is going to take in a location, which is base path. And then the file system is going to take in the adapter. I'm going to make sure I've removed all the old ones. Don't need that. Don't need that. So here's our parser, lots of magic stuff, and import class, big file system. I don't think we need the adapter for anything else. The file system takes an adapter, as I assumed. So I can pass that in like that. Save those temporary variables. And then the file system takes an adapter. 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 And in a file system. So in theory, we can now do something like what we're doing here. If something exists, read stream, delete directory, file exists. Yeah, try. Okay, let's do a exists is file system, file exists, location is API.php. Catch whatever is throwable as an exception, which means throwable, and then we could just throw a new exception where the message is did not find Rex file, code is 0, and previous is exception. So what we're doing there basically is, instead of just directly throwing this exception that might come back, is we're throwing our own exception, currently the runtime exception, and we're just going to pass this through as it is. So exists. Is that a touch, file size, visibility, set, create, move, and copy? Path and contents. Okay, I can do path and contents.
Just gonna run down the road to
You have to play Pokemon?
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Get a remote break.
Did you want to take my phone and use any perks or anything?
No, I'm
or?
going to get a remote pass so I can do a regular.
Okay, enjoy.
Bye.
Love you. Okay, so instead of that, we're going to use write, and the location is going to be this root. I'm not sure if you get the beginning part. Too few arguments. Okay. Contents is going to be, oh, there's a nice way you can do that. It's something like, anyone know what I'm talking about with names? You've also got a pass-through config. An optional config array. You don't have to pass anything through. So there's a really nice way you can, don't do that right now. Don't need minicli anymore, but thank you. You were amazing. There's a way you can write. I know who will have it written. Laravel Livewire. You're doing inline components. Inline components. No, that's not what I'm on about. Anonymous components, is it? No, not anonymous components. Here doc. That's, how do you do that in PHP? Strings. index. Eliminate strings, EOT, and then EOT. So I've got to do that basically. That's what I need to write. That. What we want to write in there is see if that won't. That feels so wrong. I don't know why. Is there something that I'm doing wrong here? Do I need to like wrap it in double quotes or something? Nope. Do you have to echo it? That's just killing everything. That's obviously a fail. Just do that. Okay, so there's only one way to find out. So it did exist, so it's not going to create it, as you can see. However, let me delete it. Yep, I want you to delete that file. I want to see what happens to this. Oops, API. Okay, so it's literally sticking all of that in there. That's not what I want. The nicest way to write this. I did see mention of a now doc. There we go. Blah de blah. Here doc now doc. Echo. I want echo. Output will be goodbye. I don't really want to echo. Closing word. Not super useful, but what can we do? How can we make this look nice? Are we dying? Is this going to kill me? Yeah, you have to create a stub. I've not actually really done much stub stuff. +1 and joke, yeah. I've not had to do stubs outside of Laravel, if I'm honest. So I'm a little bit hesitant to jump straight into it on a stream. Then I could maybe turn and a new line. It's going to look messy, but for a short-term solution, it will do. Declare. What if we just add that for now? Let's see what that does. Ooh. I'm just going to add PHP into it. That'll do for now. That'll do for now. Otherwise, I'm going to spend all night trying to get this to work. Create the roots file, and then down here, make the roots to file. So this is where I need to look at how I can write it nicely. How could I do this part? What can we do? What can we do? So I've got the roots. Yeah, I know stub's plain text. It's just how I'm going to replace content within it nicely. I've not really had to do it before, if I'm honest. Writing How can we do it? Stub generator. It's just generating stubs, isn't it? Add source. Not what I want. Someone's trying to do it in Joomla. Stub generator script. Not really what I want. String replace. I guess so. Let's have a look. Let's try and let's just add a stub and we'll see how it looks. New directory. We're going to call this one stubs, and we're just going to call this API.stub. Okay, fine. So within here, types, and we're going to return that's all I need. I just need to replace that with a pretty print of an array. Don't know how it's going to work, but we're going to give it a go. Cool. So we're going to pass through empty content because we're about to override all of it anyway. So it exists. Right, what's that going to return? Is that going to actually return the file? No, it's still not going to, is it? So we have to do that again. Oh. Okay, we'll do a tidy up later. So now we should definitely have exists because we've just written it. So now writing routes to the file, we can do a content is going to be a stub as file contents base path stubs stub. If I just lay out stub, that is giving me a big long string. Okay. Is there a way to file get contents with read? Maybe even a file system to read instead. Read location base location stubs API.read next stub. Just clear on that. Okay. What does that do? Oh, okay. Writing streams, deleting, listing contents, file exists. Set invisibility, moving, copying. Read. File system read. You can read the file contents in full as a string or stream. Try to read stream. The response will be, okay, cool. So read stream location is that. Now we should have stub. Same resource, so we got it. Cool. So now, can we do anything with that stream resource? It is going to read a stream. Path normalizer, normalized path. Read stream. It's going to return a resource, but it's not going to tell me how to work with it. So time to dig through some source code. Have we got a stream resource in here? Nope. Is it maybe local file system adapter? No. Okay, so it doesn't actually give me much other than a resource, which I never work with because they're nasty. So I've got stub. What can I do with that stub? Nothing. And if can I cast it to a string at least? It's stringable. Nope. Not good. Not fun. First one is giving me one long string. I might have to come back to this and revisit it and do some digging in the background, I think. This is going to take a very long time to figure out at this pace. I might have to create a class to do parts of this as well, so we can make it a bit cleaner and simpler. So we'll probably leave that bit there, otherwise I'll spend all night just trying to write a file. In the process of doing these, router, we want a router. So we're going to come back to that. So if we read that file, we're getting a kind of a condensed string. It's not respecting like the ender lines or anything, which is going to be a bit of a pain. I mean, I could get that first space, turn it into an array and just chunk it out into an array and eventually spit it out into a string, but it defeats the point. I'll have to do some digging. It could be array thing. Get it out and see what it says. It is a racer. You clever thing, Benjamin. That is a good point. So, okay, so I'll cast it. It should already be a string at that point. So if I echo it out without casting to a string, what's it going to give me? Something perfect. So we've got the stub, and then we can just do a yeah, it must be a long day. How am I going to do this then? So I can now do like a. Now I can do string replace, and what I want to do is contents is string replace, and I am searching for dummy array, and I want to replace other groups. Now if I echo out down here, array to string conversion. Okay. got to be a nice way to do this. No. It's got to be. I'm going to have to debug or dive into how Laravel's doing some of this. Because I think we're just replacing parts of a file, so it's easy to do a string replace. But I can't spit that out as a string. You can't just convert it to a string. I mean, don't want to implode anything or anything like that. What happens if I just like yeah, I'm searching for that and I'm replacing with that. Oh, you don't need a subject. Oh wait, damn it, no, you're right. Oh god, what am I doing? So I am searching stub file and I am replacing dummy array with roots. I was going to do that now and see how it's complaining. Cool. Array to string conversion, as I expected. Will JSON encode work? Not nicely. It'll do something, but it's not going to do it nicely. I don't really want to implode it, because I mean, what am I going to eliminate it with? Still array all the way through. Isn't first one search? No, string str replaces search. The value being searched for. Replace subject. Known as a needle, yes. Other way around. So swap. So we are searching for dummy array. We are replacing something. An array must be used to designate multiple values. Otherwise known as a haystack. So the haystack goes on the end. There we go. Still an array string conversion, but we're getting somewhere further. Do we even need that third one? Subject, known as a haystack. Yeah, we do. We need stub. Array. Cool. Replacement. So, yeah, that the naming is absolutely horrible. Do that now. So there's lots of arrays. It's imploding that, which isn't really what we want here. So I just do that. Into hi-ho. Oh, we're getting a few. We're getting some stuff come out. We're getting there. That's not what we want. So, as I said earlier, I'm going to look into that and look into how Larabella's doing parts of it and see if I need to do anything special. So, I'm going to move on and we will come back to how we're going to generate this. So, we need a router. We're definitely going to need a router. And I have thought about using League's router, actually, which is pretty cool. Back for Pokemon.
It's like getting a root path.
Oh. Which is kind of like a friendlier wrapper around fast route. So it just means that we can use it a bit nicer. So what I've already done is, if I open up a new Open Recent Project router, new window, ta-da, we have one. Doesn't do much. It's got a root factory, which just returns a router. That's all it's doing at the minute. But that's all I need it to do. I can get in it and everything do it. And what we'll do, we're just going to create a new repo for our router. This is simple router for the PHP Fox framework. It's not really a router, it's more of a root factory, but we're just going to call it router for now, just in case we want to do anything with it. Create the repository, and let's just push this up. And sure we'll do all of this. It's easier to type it. Yeah, I could push for changes. Where were we? Not gonna have the roots in there, but that's probably a good idea. Let's build a macro framework episode 2. That's an open API files. So that is our router. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly create a new release, tag it with that. Release. So now I can just quickly publish that. Submit. Router. Yes, I know lots of people have created routers, but this one is mine. So now, in theory, I should. That is all pushed. So, can I pull in my router? Yes. So using the router, that is the next step. We're going to ignore the generating stuff right now, and we're going to focus now on our router. So with our application, we need to, when we're booting, we load config, and then later on we run it. I don't know if we need the root at any other point before we start running. So for now, I'm going to stick it here. Router factory build. Now have a router. And now I can say router get, pass in a handler. That's it. And then I can do like a router dispatch request response, all of that sort of good stuff. So we've got our router kind of sorted. That is all we needed to do there. At this point, we will pass routes, and then we will create our request. No problem, Richard. All you've seen is me playing around with some PHP and not knowing what to do with some parts of it today. So create a request, and then stuff. And then we want to eventually emit a response. So this will be where we get the response is going to basically be the router dispatch stuff. Before we do that, we probably want to look at some application middleware. And what we're also going to want to do is look at middleware for the route when we're dispatching, I believe. I do believe that, let me, yet again, I've got to trigger a manual refresh, but that's no problem. So I've installed this, this is a little cool. So middleware. Example middleware, defining middleware, middleware order, route to middleware. So all we've got to do is create some example middleware, maybe. Which was middleware? No, not very interesting. Dependency injection, anything we need to look at. It says you want you to add the container, add your controllers to the container. That's just not cool. That's not how I want to do it at all. I'll look at another way I can do that one. What else do we need to look at? Strategies. So you've got default application strategy and you've got JSON strategy. So I can do it globally. So within here, I can do a router set strategy. Strategy is a new JSON strategy. And I don't believe I need to pass anything in there. Or do I? If your argument, yes, I do. So per group JSON strategy, response factory. That is expecting response factory. It doesn't have to be a response factory, or can it just be like a response? What are you going to do with that? Something that follows a response. How should it look? What's the end goal? Okay, so the end goal for your routes is going to be, it will look like return an array, and within that array, we will have method get. I don't know what else we called it. in our parser, our OpenAPI parser, method root and name. So the root is going to be that, and then let's say that in this example the name is, and another one would be that. So basically the idea here is that it's just an array. We can extend on it with open for other than what's on OpenAPI. So we can add like our own debugging routes that we want to play with, and we can add some middleware within it. And eventually I'm going to do something like middleware, just an array, but we're going to look at that maybe a little bit later. For now, we will come back to that because Benjamin's going to have a look at how that works. So I cannot worry about it too much. So do that quickly, that response class. This response doesn't actually have a response factory. I believe I might need to pull in some PSR 7 magic. So no, I don't want all of that. So let's just composer remove simply something or other. We're going to remove symphonies. I'm not even using it yet, am I? Or is that on the router itself? Require, yeah, Symfony HTTP Foundation. We don't want that, do we? No. Remove that. We won't need it. And we will pass it into the router. Let's commit that. Oh. Moving unneeded Symfony HTTP Foundation. We'll push that up. Do another little micro release on that. Here it is. Releases. So we're going to create another 0.0.2 or something. Tidy up release. There's a pre-release. And now in our framework, we can, when we're requiring, we can say 0.0.2. I actually think there is. I think there's something, I think when you hover over it on VS Code, it does show you now. Let me just hide some of this. Right. I just come down to my composer JSON. I hover. No. Doesn't seem to be working. Might just be being a little bit slow. I'm pretty sure there was a way you could do it. No, I think it might be a package.json. Yeah, only works on package.json, unfortunately, because it is VS Code, and VS Code's just silly sometimes. It might be a package, an extension, but not that I've seen. So if you look at root here, it kind of recommends you use Laminus diactoros, however you're meant to say it. So I'm just going to pull that in. I know that'll work. So within here, let's do a response factory. Pass new response factory. Nothing into it. No. On its own. Okay, so let's go back to strategies and the JSON strategy. I can just pass that directly through there, set the strategy, and that is it. I don't need to worry about much else from the looks of it. Pass to the new response strategy factory. Have I got that pulled in? I can go away. Response factory, yeah. While we're running, we're going to get a router, set the strategy, which sounds like we're doing things all backwards now, how I think about it. And then we can start passing routes, creating a request. So let's look at creating that request. Oh, where is it? Basic usage. It is server request factory. Server request. Us. Create from globals. Pulled in. Server request factory. Oh, from globals, not create from. And that takes a certain set of arguments. It will take the server which is that, and it will take files, which is, if we're worried about files, it will take body of the request, is, I believe, post should come under, and then cookies is cookie and query is get. Clean that up to this. That's not our new request. Then we'll run through any middleware here. So then our response can be router dispatch. Our request is this. And that, I believe, is everything. And that's our response. Then if we just do a quick update on response, we're going to actually terminal again. At the bottom, GitHub, Fox framework, open up Ray, and let's take that at the top, and we will clear that view. Example. It's giving us all that good stuff. So in example, we don't want to be doing that anymore, or that. We want the application root where the base path is current directory, say app Run. So I'm expecting this to not be successful, but to do something. Ooh, config loading exception. To not load config. It should be able to. Like that. There we go. So we've got a laminator response not found, which is kind of what we expected at this point. We've dispatched it, and in theory, all we need to do now is get the emitter and emit it. So what I think we want to do at this point is we're loading config. We need to pull our container in. So let's composer require PHP Fox container. Our container. Have a private container, and then here container, get instance done. Only written but never read, that's fine. What we'll also add is function container there. We're just going to return container. So we can access it elsewhere if we really want to. We've got our container. Then when we're booting, we're loading config, and then we'll do something like this. Nope, not this. Don't want to do that. Underneath. App build container. Function build our container. Don't want to return from that one. But what we've already got our container, so that. This will be a container. Container, so now we can say container bind abstract emitter and concrete is going to be a SAPI emitter. Got that right. Oh wait, no, I need to also install handler and runner. That is why it's saying no. Oh, you've done a PR as well. We'll have a look at that. One of us could figure it out. What that class. So that is going to be building the emitter there. And when we're running it, we want to get all of that. Now we're going to build that response here. Let's just add a var SAPI emitter. Emitter is container. We are going to make router. And let's do emit responses. And straight away, 44 not found. So we've got a router. We're emitting our responses. We haven't done middleware yet, but we'll worry about that later on. We're building our request. We're dispatching it. We'll look at how we're going to handle root middleware as well at some point. Our emitter, and we are then just doing that there. The reason I've stuck it in the container is in case I need it elsewhere. If not, I can refactor bits just to pull it out in line. Create a request, which we've done. Parsing routes, getting a router, build container, anything else we might want to build into the container here. So maybe we want to stick the request up there, but not so likely. Booted, build container. Yeah, our container is now also part of our application. So we can say app container make something. So our application is now officially running. That we're really meaning to. What I've done, I'm just going to add this. And we are with the Micro Framework episode 2, adding our router and getting a response. Push that up and let's go have a look at this PR. Let's see how it works. So, come over to our framework and we have a pull request from our good friend Benjamin. This will nicely output OpenAPI routes. Save and run. var exporter. Ooh, nice. And then scaffold exporting routes. So what we're doing here is var file put contents. Testing routes file. Nice. That's actually kind of cool. I hope this passes. That would be amazing if it does. Another way of doing it will be a silly string replace. Yeah, I definitely agree with going more optimized. Conflicting files, resolve conflicts. Main. Container. That's all it was, isn't it? Yep. Mark resolved. And this is going to complain about something. And he just at the top, the hash, which I'm not too bothered about. Yeah. File exporter with dev, but not sure if it belongs there. No, I think it'll be fine. I'm pretty sure that passed for last time. Exporting, yeah, that passed fine. So I'm not going to wait for this to finish running. It's going to confirm the merge. Sweet. So now, right now, so, close all tabs. So in our console command in here, if I put contents, that's a content there. So I can do a file system write again. See if this works. I can open my roots API. Let's just delete, refactor, save delete, okie dokie. Yep, do the refactor. PHP Fox open API. Errors, errors, errors. My bad. Don't need to update again. What am I on about? API. Processing roots. Oh, moment of truth. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Good job, Benjamin. That's fantastic. All we need to do now is extend our OpenAPI parser. So there's method root name handler is going to be currently empty. Closure, it could be a number of things. And then we'll also add middleware as array. Now if I just do this, what's going to happen now? Oh, it just overwrites all of them, doesn't it? So that's fine. But what I want to be able to do is do an array merge. So we've got roots there. We also want to get the contents of the current roots file, merge the two in case they've already been hooked up, because their OpenAPI file is likely to change. So create it. If it doesn't exist, create it. What we can do with this part now is current roots equals require base path dot API.php. That'll get the current roots as an array. Roots is array merge. Which way round do we want this with array merge? Array variable list of arrays to emerge. The latter value will, for that key, will overwrite the previous one. So we want the current roots last this. So what we're going to do is we are going to run that again. Now, if we just get this, let's say we get all the way down here and okay, let's go for the first one, handler. Name goes there. Handler again. That is now at the bottom instead. That's not merging, that's kind of extending, isn't it? Is that because we're doing a write instead of an overwrite? That could be system. So write stream. Well, we've already got it, so we could probably there's no append, is there? File exist, file size, mime type, set visibility, move and copy. That's definitely a to-do for next time, I think. and a quick do overwrite file contents instead of appending. Because if we come to here and if I just grab any of them, that one, return this, I'm going to say handler some class. If we now run it, that will just get class. It'll just put everything in front of it. So we've got all of these routes. Right at the end was the one that we did have. I want to see if we can append it in any way, and that's where the Symfony package works nicely. That's not pending, that is pre-pending. We'll have a look. We'll see what we can figure out. We're doing array merge. That's all. We're getting current routes. We're going the right direction. It's just we need to look at replacing the content, not just writing to the file, I suppose. And I think I might call it a night. It's been 2 hours and 17 minutes. So we just commit this, and anyone's welcome to play. That worked well. Yes, sorry, Had, you're a little bit late, mate. He's done. He's done for the night, I think. So we've got our framework's been pushed, our route's been pushed, and probably pull this back down another time. Yeah, you too, Benjamin. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Anybody interested who is currently watching after the stream, here is the repo on the screen now. Feel free to go have a look, go have a play, submit a PR, do whatever you might want to do. That bit's done. That bit is in the process of being done. We're getting there. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks.